Hi guys, this is Keith here again from the Upper Tier Podcast, and I'm coming to again with you for another top five moments. But this time around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a John Cena countdown. So it's going to be kind of a bit of a build up for the next couple of weeks in December now, with his last match on the 13th of December. So what I'm going to do is this week's video I'm going to do is basically his best moments. Now, if you have anything in mind, or if you have disagree, or if you have anything that you think is a better moment, please feel free to send me a comment below, and I will actually have a chat to you about it and be good discussion anyways. But for me, this would be my top five favorite moments anyways from John Cena. And number five, what I'm going to start off with, is his debut back in SmackDown in 2002 when he faced Kurt Angle. Now, I think it was an open challenge match for as far as I remember. And so basically, he was at that time, the WWE, they kind of needed new blood in the WWE right back then, because the old guard was leaving, the likes of Stone Cold, The Rock, and Kurt Angle had a few more years left in him, but he eventually left a couple of years later, around 2006. So I think the likes of the Randy Ortons, the John Cenas, the Batistas, the Brock Lesnar's, the new guard that were coming in, the new blood, we kind of needed them. And this is one of the reasons why I put it in, because it was kind of really cemented the start of the ruthless aggression era. Now, if you have never watched the WWE back then in the early 2000s, I would highly recommend you to watch it, because back then when I watched it as a kid, I was only 12 when I watched it. And so basically what happened there is that if you were to watch a Raw or a SmackDown, if you get one chance to watch it again on the Friday or the Saturday to watch. Raw was on a Friday, SmackDown was on the Saturday. So if you missed any of them, you're never going to see it again. It's unlike today where you can go on Netflix and see, Raw the next day, or see SmackDown a week later, or whatever it may be. Back then, it was totally different. If you missed a Raw or SmackDown, it was just, you had to wait until next week to watch them to find out what happened. But that was just a little backstory, just in case you didn't know anything about that and you're new to the actual wrestling business itself. But anyways, so number five, I had that down for his debut, because I thought it was a big moment in the wrestling business when it started off the ruthless aggression era, and John Cena was the one that started it off for me. But number four I have down is basically, I'll just have to check again. Yeah, it's basically is winning his US title at WrestleMania 20 against the Big Show. Now, this was his first ever title, and I think he kind of needed it, to be honest with you, back then, because he was kind of on his last legs as far as being given chances, because I remember Vince was giving him chance after chance for a while, and then things were really kind of sticking. He had the Thugonomics thing, which was great, and that's what kind of helped him along the way to being the John Cena that we've seen today, and we desperately, love and think he's probably one of the greatest ever, to be honest, in the wrestling business, which he is. But for me, this is what kind of cemented him from being one of the greats of all time, is helping him win that US title, which was his first ever US title, And then it just went on for him to win millions of titles after that, countless of titles, But I have that as number four. And then number three, I have him coming back to the Royal Rumble in 2008. This was at Madison Square Garden. And basically back then, he had an injury that was like, it was a serious injury, but I think it took him about 3 or 4 months, and he recovered after that. And then he was a big surprise. I think it was number 30 as far as I remember, for the Royal Rumble 2008. And basically then he went on to win the Rumble, but it was such a huge shock to see him back then, because we thought back then, I was only about 18 or something like that at the time, and I thought he was out for nearly a year or a good while, because it's a serious injury he had, but it was such a great moment to see him coming back, and he went on then to face Triple H and Randy Orton, as far as I remember, in a triple threat match at WrestleMania, but he didn't win it. So Randy Orton won the title then. Because generally a lot of people think if you win the Royal Rumble, you go on and you win the title. Not necessarily, because a lot of the times back then, you're not really guaranteed to win it compared to now, where you most likely will guarantee to win it, But no, back then he didn't, and he lost in the triple threat match against Randy and Triple H. Now, the top two I have, it was kind of difficult for me to pick because they're really historic moments in his career and in wrestling in WWE history as well. But I had number two down was John Cena's heel turn for the Elimination Chamber. Now, the reason I had that for number two is because for years and years and years, we've wanted John Cena to be a heel for years, and it never happened. Even at his peak, Vince McMahon never pulled the plug. It nearly happened. It nearly happened at one stage. I can't remember the year, but it was a year where they nearly pulled the plug and they nearly made him a heel. But the thing about it is he was such a success as a baby face that he made so much merch, he made so much money for the WWE. But I kind of thought that they needed to make him a heel, around that time at his peak. Now, look, it's all subjective right now of what people thought about his heel turn. Now, was it a good heel turn? I thought it was decent. I thought it was okay. They could have done a bit better with his heel turn, to be honest, but it wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible by any means. It was a great shock, and it was to see him turn heel in his late stage of his career now. But I would have done it about 10 years ago when he was still wrestling in the WWE and when he was at the top of his game. I would have done it then. That's just personally me. But still, it was still good to see him turning heel, even at the twilight of his career. At least then we got to see it. We would have been thinking that when he was retiring next month, we never got to see him, and there wouldn't be ifs or buts. At least we got to see it. He did play a very good role in it. It just, again, I thought the booking could have been a bit better, but overall it was still a decent heel turn and it's still a decent run, But my number one I have down is him winning the 17th title. Reason I had that is because if you know your WWE history, or if you don't, look back and it would show you that Ric Flair's held the title for so many years as being the 16th World Heavyweight Champion. And a lot of people, including myself, thought that was never going to be broken. People have tried, people have come near to breaking it, the likes of Randy Orton, Triple H, to name a few. But there have been just wrestlers down the years, the likes of Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, as I mentioned, Triple H, Randy Orton, Edge, etc., that have held the title numerous times, multiple times, and never came close to actually, breaking Ric Flair's record. So for me, that's the reason why I pick John Cena as the number one for moments wise. And the number one for his greatest moment is for him winning the 17th world title. Now, I know he didn't want to break it back then, a few months ago, because he wanted Ric Flair to still have the title, but it is a good passing of the torch type of thing, and it's a good way to finish off by saying that, he has 17 world titles, and is that going to be broken in the future? Hopefully, it'd be nice down the line. I don't know if it'd be broken in my lifetime, but, it'd be very, very hard to break that 17 world titles, I have to say. You'd have to be in the business a good 20 odd years, I think, to be honest. Would Braun Breaker do it? Who knows? He's still young enough to do it. But there's still time. Personally, I wouldn't like to see it be broken, because I think it's such a special moment in history, especially in WWE's history, that it shouldn't be broken. But that's just me anyways, and that's what I think of the top moments for my favorite moments. But if you have anything yourself, please feel free to like and subscribe, and also comment down below of anything you want me to chat about, or if you have your own moments that you would like to chat about, I will message you as well. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll chat to you soon.